Positive and negative space. So what is positive and negative space? It's about a figure-ground relationship where elements are separated based upon contrast, that is dark and light. So it's also expanded, the definition can be expanded to when you talk about figure ground or subject background. So if you think about what's the subject of this, we have maybe Sherlock Holmes or some detective smoking a pipe, and the background is here. Well, the subject now is white and the background is black. Here the subject is the RAM, and the background we assume is the space behind. But it's positive and negative space drawings often play with the figure ground relationships. So here in the RAM, you see it's only the background is drawn. So why do we use positive and negative space? Well, image matching is very important for the brain, and the brain automatically turns images into symbols. So in order to fool the brain, we need to do a couple different things. We can work faster than we think. We can draw upside down. We can somehow learn to see what's really there, or draw and observe negative space. So what's an example of the brain doing this? Well, if I asked you to think of a tree, you might think of a generic type of a tree, a pine tree or a palm tree. There are many different types of trees, and no tree looks exactly the same. So you see on the right, there's a couple examples of positive and negative space being used in artwork. Here's a famous example of a vase, and it can either look like a face or a vase, depending on if you focus on the middle area as figure or middle area as ground. And it's an optical illusion. You might see it more clearly depending on how you see. You can see it's actually a lot clearer in this image when things are black and white than when it's in color here. So positive negative space, it's very important when drawing certain things, and particularly when you want to omit drawing certain things, like white areas, such as in this dog nose. You can see the whiskers and a lot of the dog hair are not drawn in, or either that erased very well with an eraser. So the pencil lines are just used in here to draw the hairs that are black. Here's an artist who uses positive and negative space, Kara Walker. It is called The Keys to the Coupe. She often does very large installations of silhouettes. Here is on the wall, here's a quote from Art 21. The artist is best known for exploring the raw intersection of race, gender, and sexuality through her ironic silhouetted figures. Walker unleashes the traditional proper Victorian medium of the silhouette directly on the walls of the gallery, creating a theatrical space in which unruly cut paper characters inflict violence on one another. So her work is very provocative and interesting. Highly encourage you to look it up. Here's just one example, and I decided to include another because her work is really important and interesting. You can see in here all the different silhouettes that she's chosen to incorporate, and they're often very complex, and in terms of both subject matter and also in all the details. This is from 2017. It's called Slaughter of the Innocents, They Might Be Guilty of Something. These are some examples of designers who use positive and negative space, and negative space is a very important design element, particularly in things like logo design. These are logo design examples below. One is pretty interesting. You can see it's for Moby Dick, and the whale tail and the sphere, and that spear is right here, as well as the M for Moby. And then here it's an interesting play with, it's for a cattle company, and you see like a bunny and what looks like a dog, and also a cow head. So why is this used often in logo design? In logos, things need to look good very small on a business card, as well as on a billboard, very large. And also for printing purposes, you have to reduce a lot of information and graphics to keep the cost down and images readable at all sizes. Here are some examples of a designer from Malaysia who uses positive and negative space in interesting ways. You can see here's a gramophone and a bird and a spill of wine, and this becomes cliffs. This person's peeking under that. And then we have a city with some arms coming through in between the buildings. Another designer uses negative space. It's a Japanese designer. You can see the legs here and the legs down here. How do you draw a negative space? Well, these are some student drawings of negative space, and you can see that what it says is draw the holes, not the object. Draw the areas of space where the object is not, instead of drawing the object itself. So it makes us see an object in an unusual way and can help us draw what was actually there instead of what we think ought to be there. Here's a pretty complex still life reduced down into just drawing the negative space. And this is a project that I used to do, which is really fun, where you draw patterns or textures in the negative space, and that's something interesting you can do in your negative space drawings as well. You can incorporate a pattern or texture. Here's some optical illusions. This is from 1905, called A Perro's Love. You see both a skull and two figures. Look carefully at the teeth that are also glasses. Pretty clever. Another optical illusion with negative space by Charles Allen Gilbert, called All is Vanity, from 1892. And you can see the skull with a lady looking in the mirror. Another play with positive and negative space by George Witherspoon from 1876. Is a very old example of a play with positive and negative space called Gossip and Satan Come Also. You can see an image of what I believe is to be Satan, and then also and multiple people talking to each other. And this is my final drawing, and I thought it was a fun picture that's showing positive and negative space using trees and animals. All right, thank you.